Welcome to this peaceful journey through the history of Chelsea Football Club. As you settle in and relax, let's drift back in time to where it all began, to the streets of West London in the late 19th century. Long before Chelsea Football Club existed, there stood a stadium. Stamford Bridge originally opened its gates on April 28, 1877, not for football, but as an athletics venue for the London Athletic Club. For 28 years, athletes ran their races and competed on this ground, never knowing that one day it would become one of football's most iconic homes. As the 20th century dawned, the stadium sat waiting for its destiny. In 1905, an opportunity arose. Fulham Football Club was offered the chance to make Stamford Bridge their home, but they declined due to financial reasons. Sometimes the paths we don't take lead others to their greatest journeys, and Fulham's decision allowed Chelsea to occupy the stadium instead, changing football history forever. In those early years, Stamford Bridge was a truly magnificent sight. The stadium had a capacity of around 100,000 spectators, ranking it as the second largest ground in all of England at the time. Imagine the vast expanse, the sea of faces, the roar that must have echoed across West London on match days. The stadium was designed by renowned architect Archibald Leach in 1905. His vision featured a 5,000-seat main stand and distinctive oval banking that curved around an athletics track. Leach's architectural fingerprints can be found on many of Britain's classic football grounds, but Stamford Bridge held a special place in his portfolio. And so, on March 10, 1905, Chelsea Football Club was born. The founding took place not in a grand boardroom, but in the Rising Sun pub, now known as the Butcher's Hook, located just across from Stamford Bridge. One can almost picture the conversations, the dreams being shared over pints, the plans being sketched on napkins perhaps, as a football club came to life in that modest public house. The club was founded by businessman Henry Mayers, known affectionately as Gus. Unlike most football clubs that form organically from communities and then find a ground, Chelsea was created specifically to play at Stamford Bridge, an athletic stadium Mayers had acquired and converted for football. It was a unique beginning, a club built to fill a stadium rather than a stadium built for a club. Before settling on their name, several options were considered. The club's proposed early names included Kensington FC, Stamford Bridge FC, and London FC. Each name was discussed, weighed, and ultimately set aside. There's something fascinating about imagining an alternate history where we might be talking about London FC instead of Chelsea. The name they chose carries its own gentle irony. The club is based in Fulham, in West London, but took the name Chelsea from the nearby district. Since that day in 1905, they have played their home matches at Stamford Bridge, connecting geography and identity in their own distinctive way. This creates a remarkable record in English football. Chelsea FC has been the sole tenant of Stamford Bridge since 1905, making it the only Premier League club never to change its home ground. Through over a century of football, through world wars and financial struggles, through relegations and championships, Chelsea and Stamford Bridge have remained together, constant and unchanged. As we close this first segment, rest easy knowing that every great story has its beginning, and Chelsea's beginning was unlike any other in football. As we continue our restful journey through Chelsea's history, let's explore those first exciting months and years when the club took its first steps onto the football stage. Chelsea Football Club's first manager was John Robertson, a Scottish international who guided the newly formed club from 1905 to 1906. Robertson had the unique challenge of building something from nothing, of creating a team identity and a playing style for a club that had never existed before. His brief tenure set the foundations for everything that would follow. The club wasted no time in making their mark. Chelsea played their first match on September 2, 1905, and what a debut it was. They defeated Liverpool 3-0 at Stamford Bridge. Imagine the excitement in the air that day, the nervousness, the hope, and then the joy as Chelsea announced themselves to English football with a convincing victory. Innovation was in Chelsea's DNA from the very beginning. The club was the first to use ballbars in matches, introducing them in 1905. What seems commonplace now was once a novel idea, born from practical necessity and a touch of creative thinking. That practical necessity came from a rather remarkable individual. Chelsea's first ever goalkeeper was William Falk, known affectionately as Fatty Falk. He stood 6 feet 4 inches tall and weighed around 23 stone. His imposing presence in goal prompted the club to introduce ball boys, partly for perspective, partly for practicality. Falk remains one of football's most memorable early characters, a gentle giant who helped define Chelsea's early identity. The club's popularity grew rapidly. In the late 1910s, Chelsea became the first British club to average over 40,000 attendance per match. This remarkable achievement established Chelsea as London's biggest club at the time. Week after week, tens of thousands would make their way to Stamford Bridge, filling the vast terraces, creating an atmosphere that echoed across West London. Chelsea continued their pioneering spirit in player recruitment. In 1913, they signed the first non-British player in Football League history, Danish international Niels Middelboe. At a time when football was deeply insular, when most clubs looked no further than their own shores, Chelsea gazed across the North Sea and brought continental flair to English football. On the pitch, milestones were being achieved. Chelsea won the first top-flight London derby in 1907, beating Woolwich Arsenal 2-1. It was the beginning of London football rivalries that would define decades to come, the first chapter in countless Derby Day stories. But what should they be called? In those early years, nickname debates swirled around the club. Options included Chinamen, Buns, Cherubs, Colts, and Little Strangers, before the club settled on Pensioners. Each suggestion reflected different aspects of the club or the area, but Pensioners would stick, at least for a while, connecting Chelsea to the Royal Hospital Chelsea and its famous residents in their distinctive scarlet coats. This nickname would eventually be reflected in the club's identity. Chelsea FC's crest from 1952 to 1986 included a Chelsea pensioner figure, a kindly old soldier standing proud. For over 3 decades, this friendly face represented the club, a unique symbol in English football. And then there were the colours. Chelsea's traditional home kit became royal blue shirts and shorts with white socks, which naturally led to the club's famous nickname, the Blues. The colour blue would become synonymous with the club, worn with pride by generations of players and supporters, a simple colour that would come to mean so much. Rest now, as we let these early stories settle like dust on old photographs, preserving Chelsea's formative years. Let us continue our gentle exploration of Chelsea's story, moving into an era of change and modernization, where the club began to reshape its identity. In the 1950s, a significant transformation occurred. Manager Ted Drake changed Chelsea's kit to all blue, shifting the nickname from Pensioners to the Blues. But Drake did more than just change the colors. He introduced the lion crest, seeking to give the club a fiercer, more modern identity. The friendly pensioner was replaced by the King of Beasts, a symbol of strength and pride. The club crest has changed several times over the decades. A notable modern version features a lion holding a staff, symbolizing strength and incorporating elements from the historic coat of arms of the borough of Chelsea. Each redesign reflected the times, the aspirations, the evolving identity of a football club growing and changing. Chelsea has always been at the forefront of innovation. In 1928, they became the first team in England to wear numbered shirts during a match. What we take for granted now, the simple act of identifying players by numbers on their backs, was once a radical idea. Chelsea had actually trialed numbered shirts in 1926 and became the first to wear them in competitive matches in 1927 and 1928, starting with a game against Arsenal. The club's international outlook continued to expand. Chelsea's first international signing, Walter Winterbottom, came from Hungary in 1928. Winterbottom would later become England's manager, but his journey began at Stamford Bridge, another example of Chelsea's role in broadening English football's horizons. Success on the pitch arrived in the 1930s. The club won the Football League Second Division in 1934 and 1935, finishing 16 points ahead of the runners-up. It was a record margin at the time, a statement of dominance that showed Chelsea's growing strength and ambition. The crowds at Stamford Bridge during this era were extraordinary. The highest recorded attendance at Stamford Bridge is 82,905, set during a match against Arsenal in 1935. Try to imagine that number of people, packed into every available space, the noise, the energy, the sheer scale of it all. It remains a record that stands to this day. One of Stamford Bridge's most iconic features took shape during this period. The famous shed-end terrace gained its partial covering in the 1930s. For decades, the shed would be the heart of Chelsea's support, where the most passionate fans would gather, sing, and create an atmosphere that became legendary in English football. The shed was eventually rebuilt in 1997 as a modern all-seater stand, but its spirit lives on. The 1950s brought both triumph and a touch of what might have been. Chelsea won its first top-flight league title in 1955, a crowning achievement that validated all the years of growth and development. The club has gone on to win 6 top-tier English League championships in total, but that first one in 1955 held a special magic. That same year brought an intriguing footnote to history. Chelsea became the first English club invited to the European Cup in 1955 and 1956, but they withdrew at the request of the Football League to let Manchester United participate instead. One wonders how European football history might have been different if Chelsea had accepted that invitation and blazed the trail for English clubs in Europe. Moving into the 1960s, innovation continued. In 1965, Chelsea introduced the first all-ticket match at Stamford Bridge for a game against Manchester United. The days of simply turning up and paying at the turnstiles were beginning to fade, replaced by a more organized, modern approach to match attendance. Let these stories of progress and change wash over you gently, like waves on a shore, as Chelsea's journey continues to unfold. As our peaceful journey continues, we arrive at one of Chelsea's most memorable eras, a time of European glory and unforgettable characters who wrote their names into the club's history. Another first came in 1964, when Stamford Bridge hosted the first-ever penalty shootout in English top-flight football, during a match against Manchester United. The drama of penalties, now such a familiar part of the game, had its English League debut on Chelsea's home turf. Technology was advancing too. The club introduced electronic turnstiles at Stamford Bridge in 1966, a first in English football. The clicking of mechanical turnstiles was giving way to electronic counting, another small step into the modern age. European success arrived in magnificent fashion. Chelsea's 1971 Cup Winners' Cup triumph made them the first English team to win a major European trophy on the continent. It was a landmark achievement, showing that English football could compete and conquer on European soil. Chelsea had led the way. During that Cup Winners' Cup campaign, Chelsea achieved their biggest win overall, defeating Jeunesse Hortridge 13-0. 13 goals in a single match. It remains the club's record victory, a night when everything clicked, when every shot found the net, when football felt almost effortless. The 1970 FA Cup win created one of football's most charming moments. The trophy presentation featured a famous giant teddy bear, a unique and slightly surreal moment in English football history. The image of Chelsea's players with that oversized stuffed bear has become an enduring symbol of that joyful day. Stamford Bridge itself has played host to football history beyond Chelsea's own matches. The stadium hosted 3 FA Cup finals between 1920 and 1992, including the 1920 replay between Aston Villa and Huddersfield Town. These neutral ground finals brought the biggest occasion in English football to Chelsea's home, adding another layer to the stadium's rich history. This era belonged to legends. Peter Osgood scored 150 goals in 380 appearances and was known affectionately as the King of Stamford Bridge. Osgood played with style and charisma, scoring important goals, winning trophies, and capturing hearts. His name is still spoken with reverence by those who saw him play. Alongside Osgood was the legendary winger Charlie Cook, who played 373 games for Chelsea. Cook won 2 League Cups in the late 1960s and early 1970s, dazzling crowds with his skill and trickery. Together, these players created memories that would last lifetimes. Success wasn't limited to the first team. Chelsea's reserve team won the London Challenge Cup a record 22 times between 1912 and 2007. Year after year, decade after decade, Chelsea's second string dominated London football, providing a pathway for young players and maintaining the club's competitive edge at every level. But football has its darker moments too. In 1984, Chelsea fans famously invaded the pitch during a match against Leeds United. It was a troubling incident that led to major stadium improvements and a rethinking of crowd safety and control. Sometimes progress comes from confronting problems directly. As you relax and let these stories drift through your mind, imagine the roar of the shed end, the grace of Osgood, the skill of Cook, and the countless matches that built Chelsea's legend. Let us now drift through a period of challenge and renewal, where Chelsea faced difficulties but found ways to emerge stronger, building toward a brighter future. Football clubs, like all institutions, have their ups and downs. The club was relegated from the top flight 3 times in its history, most recently in 1988 and 1989 after a dramatic final day. Relegation brings heartbreak, but it also brings perspective, reminding us that nothing in football is permanent, that fortunes can change with a single result. In 1982, when the club was on the brink of bankruptcy, British businessman Ken Bates stepped in and bought Chelsea for just £1. A single pound for a football club. It seems almost impossible now, but it speaks to how precarious Chelsea's situation had become. Bates' purchase, modest as the price was, would prove to be a turning point. Recovery came fairly swiftly. The club won the Football League Second Division title in 1983 and 1984, securing promotion with a 15-match unbeaten run. Match after match without defeat, momentum building, confidence growing, Chelsea climbing back to where they belonged. Tragedy touched the club in the mid-1990s. The Matthew Harding stand opened in 1994, honoring Chelsea director Matthew Harding, who died in a helicopter crash in 1996. Harding had been instrumental in the club's revival, a passionate supporter who used his resources to help Chelsea grow. The stand bearing his name ensures his contribution will never be forgotten. On the pitch, records continued to be set. The Blues achieved the first televised Premier League match hat-trick, courtesy of Pierluigi Casiraghi in 1996. Television was bringing football into more homes than ever before, and Chelsea provided one of the Premier League's memorable moments. In 1999, Chelsea won the last Intertoto Cup, Europe's somewhat forgotten competition. The Intertoto Cup might not have had the prestige of other European trophies, but it represented European football nonetheless, another line in Chelsea's growing collection of honours. The new millennium brought new experiences. Chelsea hosted the first-ever FIFA Club World Cup match in 2000 as part of the Intercontinental Cup format. As football became increasingly global, Chelsea was there at significant moments, participating in competitions that would shape the sport's future. Stadium development continued steadily. The West Stand fully opened in August 2001, completing the modern stadium layout. Piece by piece, Stamford Bridge had been transformed from its athletics origins into a state-of-the-art football venue, while somehow maintaining its historic character and charm. Then came the moment that changed everything. In 2003, Russian billionaire Roman Abramovich purchased Chelsea, injecting massive investment that transformed the club into a global powerhouse. The announcement sent shockwaves through football. Suddenly, Chelsea had resources that few could match, ambitions that knew no bounds. The commercial side of football was evolving too. Chelsea signed a groundbreaking sponsorship with Samsung in 2004, the most lucrative kit deal in English football history at the time. The blue shirts would now carry Samsung's name across the chest, a partnership that symbolized Chelsea's new status in the football world. Let these stories of resilience and transformation settle over you like a warm blanket, as Chelsea's journey takes a dramatic new direction. As we continue our restful journey, we enter Chelsea's golden era, a time when records fell like autumn leaves and success became almost routine. Stamford Bridge became a fortress. Chelsea achieved a remarkable 86-match unbeaten home streak at Stamford Bridge from March 2004 to October 2008. 86 matches. Over 4 years where visiting teams would arrive knowing that victory was almost impossible, where the blue shirts defending their home turf seemed invincible. At the heart of that defense was Petr Cech, the towering Czech goalkeeper. Cech set a Premier League record with 24 clean sheets in the 2004 and 2005 season. Game after game, he kept opposition strikers at bay, commanding his area with authority and agility, rewriting what was possible for a goalkeeper in a single season. That same season saw another record fall. The Blues hold the record for the most points in a 38-game Premier League season with 95 in 2004 and 2005. 95 points. It was a statement of sustained excellence, of barely dropping points from August through May. The following season started even more remarkably. In 2005, Chelsea set a Premier League record by winning their first 9 matches of the season. 9 straight victories to open a campaign. By the time September ended, Chelsea had already built a commanding lead that they would never relinquish. Defensive records continued to tumble. The men's team holds the record for the longest sequence of Premier League clean sheets, with 8 consecutive shutouts in 2005. 8 matches where the opposition failed to score even once. It was defensive football raised to an art form. Chelsea's dominance wasn't just about one season. They set a Premier League record with 274 days spent in first place during the 2014 and 2015 season. For most of that campaign, Chelsea sat atop the table, looking down at their rivals, comfortable in their position at the summit. The club also became the first to score over 100 goals in a Premier League season during 2009 and 2010. In that remarkable campaign, Chelsea scored 103 league goals. Week after week, the goals flowed, combining defensive solidity with attacking brilliance in a way few teams have ever managed. Individual match records were set too. Chelsea's record league victory is 8-0, achieved twice in the Premier League. On 2 separate occasions, Chelsea put 8 goals past their opponents without reply, a perfect combination of clinical finishing and complete dominance. Speed records fell as well. The Blues hold the record for the fastest goal in a Premier League match, scored by Didier Drogba in just 7.2 seconds against Liverpool in 2010. The ball had barely been kicked off when Drogba found the net, catching everyone by surprise. Drogba was part of a generation of Chelsea legends. Frank Lampard is Chelsea's all-time leading scorer with 211 goals. From midfield, Lampard scored with remarkable consistency year after year, becoming the heartbeat of Chelsea's success and the club's greatest ever goalscorer. As you drift deeper into relaxation, let these records and achievements wash over you, each one a testament to Chelsea's extraordinary period of success. Let us continue our peaceful exploration through Chelsea's history, meeting more of the club's greatest servants and witnessing more remarkable achievements. While Frank Lampard topped the scoring charts, others wrote their names in Chelsea's history through sheer dedication and longevity. Ron Harris holds the record for most appearances with 795 games. 795 times, Harris pulled on the Chelsea shirt. Through victories and defeats, through different managers and teammates, Harris was a constant presence, earning the nickname Chopper for his uncompromising style. Peter Bonetti holds the second most appearances with 729 games. Known as the Cat for his agility, Bonetti guarded Chelsea's goal for nearly 2 decades, becoming one of the finest goalkeepers in the club's history. His reliability and shot-stopping ability made him a legend at Stamford Bridge. John Hollins ranks 5th in all-time appearances with 592 games. Hollins served Chelsea across 2 spells, first as a dynamic midfielder in the 1960s and 1970s, then returning later in his career. His commitment to the club spanned decades, making him one of the most devoted servants in Chelsea's history. On the international stage, Chelsea players have represented their countries with distinction. Marcel Desailly, the elegant French defender, is Chelsea's most capped player with 67 appearances for France. Desailly brought World Cup-winning experience to Stamford Bridge, adding steel and class to Chelsea's defense. No discussion of Chelsea legends would be complete without John Terry. He is widely regarded as the club's most successful captain, leading Chelsea through their most glorious era. Terry embodied what it meant to play for Chelsea, defending with passion and pride, scoring crucial goals, and lifting trophy after trophy. In the dugout, records were being set too. Former manager Jose Mourinho holds the record for most Premier League wins by a Chelsea manager. Mourinho's 2 spells at Chelsea brought success, style, and an unshakable belief that became infectious throughout the squad. The modern era has seen remarkable transfer activity. Eden Hazard became Chelsea's most expensive sale at £88 million to Real Madrid in 2019. Hazard had dazzled at Chelsea for 7 years, his skill and creativity lighting up Stamford Bridge. When he departed for the Spanish capital, it represented both a financial record and the end of an era. More recent success came under Thomas Tuchel. During the 2020 and 2021 season, Chelsea conceded just 4 goals in 13 Champions League games. 4 goals across 13 matches in Europe's premier competition. It was a defensive masterclass that would carry Chelsea all the way to glory. That glory arrived on a magical night. Chelsea became the first London club to win the UEFA Champions League in 2012, and then triumphed again in 2021. Twice, Chelsea stood atop European football. Twice they brought the biggest prize in club football back to London, achieving what no other London club had managed. By the mid-2020s, Chelsea had won all 4 main UEFA club competitions. The Champions League, Europa League, Cup Winners' Cup, and Super Cup, a complete set of European honours that demonstrated Chelsea's continental pedigree across different eras and competitions. Rest now, letting these achievements and the names of Chelsea's greatest players echo softly through your mind like a gentle lullaby. As we drift further into our journey, let us explore Chelsea's recent triumphs and their commitment to developing the next generation of footballing talent. In 2025, Chelsea achieved something truly extraordinary. Chelsea Football Club became the first club to hold all 4 major UEFA Men's Club trophies in its history after winning the UEFA Conference League. The Champions League, Europa League, Europa Conference League, and Super Cup. No club had ever achieved this feat before. It represents the pinnacle of European success across all competitions. But Chelsea's success isn't just built on expensive signings. The club's academy at Cobham has produced notable talents year after year. Nestled in the Surrey countryside, Cobham has become a factory of footballing excellence, where young players are molded and developed, learning the Chelsea way. The Academy's trophy cabinet tells its own story. They won the FA Youth Cup 9 times, dominating English youth football and consistently producing the best young players in the country. Each victory represents not just talented individuals, but a successful system of coaching and development. Chelsea's youth teams have conquered Europe too. The club is the only English side to win the UEFA Youth League twice. While senior teams battle for the Champions League, Chelsea's youngsters have twice proven themselves the best in Europe at their age level. Quality is ensured through official recognition. The academy secured Category 1 status, the highest classification for youth development in English football. This status confirms that Chelsea's academy meets the most demanding standards in facilities, coaching, and player welfare. The ultimate measure of an academy's success is how many players graduate to the first team. Since 2003, Chelsea has given first-team debuts to 50 academy graduates. 50 young players who started their journey in Chelsea's youth system and went on to represent the senior team, proof that the pathway from Cobham to Stamford Bridge exists and functions. Chelsea's commitment to football extends beyond the men's game. Chelsea Football Club's women's team was founded in 1973 and won their first Women's FA Cup in 2015. The women's team has grown into one of the powerhouses of women's football, challenging for titles and representing Chelsea with the same pride and ambition as their male counterparts. Every club needs a mascot to embody its spirit. Chelsea's mascot is a lion named Stamford Billy, continuing the connection between Chelsea and the King of Beasts that dates back to Ted Drake's introduction of the lion crest in the 1950s. Stamford Billy roams the pitch on match days, bringing joy to younger fans. Music plays its part in Chelsea's identity too. The club's official anthem is "Blue is the Colour," a song that has echoed around Stamford Bridge for decades, capturing the essence of what it means to support Chelsea, celebrating the blue that runs through everything the club does. Chelsea fans have their own unique traditions. There's a long-standing tradition of throwing celery onto the pitch, a quirky custom that baffles outsiders but delights those in the know. It's one of those inexplicable football traditions that makes the sport wonderfully eccentric. Let these stories of youth, tradition, and unique customs settle gently in your mind as we near the end of our journey through Chelsea's remarkable history. As we approach the end of our relaxing journey through Chelsea's story, let us explore the rivalries that define the club and the modern achievements that continue to write new chapters. Football thrives on rivalry, and Chelsea has its share of fierce competitions. The club has a particularly intense rivalry with Arsenal, known as the North West London Derby. Matches between these two clubs carry extra weight, extra passion, extra meaning. Geography, history, and countless memorable encounters have combined to create one of English football's great rivalries. These derby matches echo back through time. Chelsea won the first top-flight London derby back in 1907, beating Woolwich Arsenal 2-1. Over a century later, that rivalry still burns brightly, each match a continuation of a story that began when both clubs were finding their feet in England's top division. In the modern era, Chelsea has embraced the digital world. In 2018, Chelsea became the first Premier League club to reach 1,000 social media followers. Wait, that seems rather modest. Perhaps this was a milestone measured differently, but regardless, Chelsea has been at the forefront of connecting with fans globally through social media, building a worldwide community of supporters. The club has also made bold choices in team selection. In 2025, Chelsea became only the second Premier League team to play 50 consecutive matches without a player aged 30 or over. 50 matches in a row with a squad built on youth and vitality. It's a remarkable commitment to young players, a faith in fresh legs and hungry minds over experience and age. Chelsea has also participated in some of football's more obscure competitions. In 1999, they won the last Intertoto Cup, a tournament that served as a summer competition and qualification route into UEFA competitions. While the Intertoto Cup is largely forgotten now, it was another piece of silverware, another achievement in Chelsea's expanding collection. The turn of the millennium brought new global competitions. Chelsea hosted the first-ever FIFA Club World Cup match in 2000 as part of the Intercontinental Cup format. As FIFA sought to create a true world championship for clubs, Chelsea was there, participating in these pioneering moments of global football. Stadium development has been an ongoing process. The West Stand fully opened in August 2001, completing the modern stadium layout we know today. Each stand at Stamford Bridge has its own character, its own history, but together they create the complete picture of one of football's most iconic venues. Back in the 1930s, the famous Shed End Terrace gained its partial covering, creating what would become the spiritual home of Chelsea's most passionate supporters. The Shed was eventually rebuilt in 1997 as a modern all-seater stand, transforming it for a new era while trying to preserve its legendary atmosphere and importance to Chelsea's identity. As we near the completion of our journey, let these final stories drift through your consciousness, each one a small piece of the vast tapestry that is Chelsea Football Club's history, woven together over more than a century of football.